Hello, my name is Leonard Gluck, and I'm here to teach you how to make a four-leaf clover using origami. In order to do this project, you'll need a piece of regular size 8.5 by 11 copy paper. Green's a good color for clovers. You might have another piece also if you want to make the flower that goes with it. To make the flower, you'll also need a piece of tissue like Kleenex, and you'll need to have a felt tip marker, and you'll need some glue and a pair of scissors. You don't have to make many cuts, but it's nice to have those handy. So let's begin. To make the clover itself, you start with the full sheet of paper. You're going to fold diagonally over like this, and then you're going to cut off this strip that's on the side over here. You want to save that strip because you'll use that strip to make the stem of the clover after we make the clover. Now, if you hold it in your hand, it looks like a taco with a crease in it. This kind of a crease is called a valley crease. If it's like this, it's called a mountain crease. And you'll see those a lot in origami instructions. Now, take your taco and lay it down in front of you so that the valley comes right toward your belly. And then fold the point closest to you to the opposite side. And as you look at the paper, you'll notice that you have an X, and that's one side of the paper. Then you're going to set it down so it looks like a pyramid. Then press it down and turn the paper so it's flat on the bottom, it's parallel to you, horizontal, and bring the horizontal edge at the bottom up to the top and crease it really super good with your fingernail. Then open it and turn it one turn to the right and repeat the same process by bringing the bottom to the top. This right here is called the water balloon base. And it sets up like a tent, and you push it right there in the middle and pop it, twirls around. If you put your fingers on two opposite sides and bring them up, and then squeeze the form, that's the typical water balloon base there. So you know how to make a water balloon base if you ever do an origami, and it says begin with the water balloon base. The next fold I'm going to teach you is also a base. It's called a blintz fold. A blintz apparently is a German pancake, sort of like a crepe, but instead of being round, it's square. And to make a blintz fold, all you do is take the four corners of the paper and fold them right to the center. Now the nice thing about this fold is a lot of you may already know part of the fold. How many of you have ever made a fortune teller or a cootie catcher? If you have, the first two steps that I'm doing now will make the cootie catcher, but then we go on beyond. So we've blinched the paper once. Now we pick it up and turn it over to the back side. And guess what? We're going to blintz again. Be careful when you blintz, because we're making multiple layers, that you don't go past the center point. As much as possible, try to keep your edges all aligned, and you'll fold the four corners to the center, and you'll notice that the paper is shrunk in size. Then you're going to lift it up and turn it over to the back side. This is the stage where you might, if you do a cootie catcher, you go like this, and it makes, you pop your fingers in here, and it makes the cootie catcher or the fortune teller, which most kids know how to make because they've probably made it. So that's a cootie catcher. But we're not going to make a cootie catcher. We're going to make a clover. So once we've done two blintzes, we're going to do a third blintz. And so we fold the four corners to the center again. That's three blintzes in a row. That's easy to remember, because a normal clover has how many leaves? 3. So that'll help you remember that. Then make sure these creases are really super good with your fingernail. Then turn it over to the back side, and you'll notice on the back side you have these little side pieces like this. You're going to take your fingers and put them right in the center of the square. Then you're going to push up, and the little mouth-like opening is going to come. You're going to push it all the way out, and squash it down flat. And then you're going to turn it, put your fingers in the back, push away from you, and again, the mouth will open up and you can squash it down flat. Do that on all 4 of the sides. Sometimes it doesn't open quite as easily as mine did. You might have to put your finger in and open it up. Then turn it over to the front side and you'll notice that it's made the shape of a cross. Next, I want you to look at it very carefully, and you'll notice that on this side there's diagonal creases right in the middle of the cross. There's like a diamond. And what you're going to do is take each of these little corner pieces of the cross and you're going to fold them in just straight back in until they hit that diagonal crease line. Let me show you here again. You bring it back to the crease line. Then you're going to turn it and do that on all 4 of the sides. That's going to make the little leaves of the clover. We're getting ready to do what's called a pop fold. And so in order to make a good pop fold, after we fold these on one side of the paper, we're going to make the exact same fold on the back side so that it makes like a hinge on a door called a hinge fold, which is a preparatory fold. So I pick it up and I'm going to bend this back and forth a couple times just to make a good hinge. This will make it real easy for opening it next. So fold each of these back and forth and make them a nice like a door hinge. And that way it'll open real easily when you go to insert the points inside of the clover. Once that's done, you're going to take and hold it right in the middle like this, and then you're going to stick your finger inside of one of these, looks like a shirt sleeve or something, and you're going to poke right on the corner only, and then you're going to squeeze it shut, and it's going to round the leaf. Then you'll do the one on the bottom the same way, and then you can see the leaf form. Then you continue around and do that on all 4 of the clover leaves. And again, if you made those folds real nice and dark before you do it, it makes it a lot easier. So we'll fold those in. And there we have the basic clover shape. Now to make it 3D, we do this. So watch what I do. We'll take and find the cross in the center of the clover and bend it into a valley on both ways. And then we're going to grab 2 opposite sides like this and then just bend like this, and then squeeze it, and it'll make a 3D clover instead of just a flat one. And you'll have a 3D clover. Now that we've made the top of the clover, we need to make the stem. This one is really easy. All you need is to take your paper and put it in a horizontal position, fold the top to the bottom, and you can make this stem as skinny as you want. It seems like the skinnier you make it, the stronger the stem is. So I'm going to fold it and just keep folding it in half as many times as you can, and that'll make a real stout stem that'll support the weight of the clover. I'll show you a little trick that I learned. If I want to go one more time, what I do is I take my fingertip and I push right in the middle, and I pull up on the outside and then push down in the center, and then I can squeeze it and I can make it even skinnier. But if you have trouble doing that, the last one we did would be adequate to hold and support the stem. This just makes the stem a little skinnier and a little more stout. So we have our stem and we have our clover. Now we need to put the 2 together. You can actually do this pure origami style without the glue, but I usually like to put some glue on it to make it hold so it won't slide off. In order to do that, what we need to do is take a little drop of glue, and we're going to put a little drop of glue right in the center of the clover, and then we're going to make a line down one of these grooves over here like so, And then we're going to take the stem and squeeze it down flat on one end. You'll notice that this is going to slide in, and there's a little pocket on the back of each of these petals. We're going to slide this right into the pocket like that. Push it up as far as you can. I usually like to put my thumb right on the other side and push right in the middle so the glue can set. And then I like to twist it so it looks more natural. And I usually put a bend in the stem just to make it look a little more realistic. But you can keep it straight if you want. Once this sets, and it sets up pretty fast if you put pressure on it, then you go back here and then just bend this up like you did before to make it 3D again. And there you have a 4-leaf clover. So we've made the 4-leaf clover, which is technically not called a shamrock. A shamrock has 3 leaves. And it's interesting because if you want to know more about a 4-leaf clover, a 4-leaf clover is a mutation. It's very rare. There's only one in about 10,000 clovers that turn out to be a 4-leaf clover. And that's a real interesting story to do some research on yourself, a 4-leaf clover and how it's formed. Now let's make a flower. In order to make the flower, I like to make a long stem, so I'm going to fold over about 3 inches of paper. Over about 3 inches, and then I'm going to cut off a strip. We're going to make the stem of the flower the same way we did the stem of the clover. So we'll just keep folding this in half. This one is a little skinnier probably than the clover stem. It makes it easier when we make the flower to bend it around. But you want it to be pretty stout so it'll support the weight of the flower, though the flower is pretty light because it's made out of a tissue paper. So once we get our stem, then we're going to make the tissue flower. You can actually make larger flowers like carnations using the same technique. That's where I learned how to make the flower. The clover was an original design that I came up one time to use as an object lesson. But the flower is just a modification of the traditional carnation. It might work better if you use 2 sheets of Kleenex like we have here because your flower will be a little more full. What you do is you lay the 2 sheets on top of each other, and then you're going to fold the side that's closest to you to the opposite side 1 time, and then 1 more time. Next, you're going to find the open side. Make sure it's the open side, and you're going to pick it up like this carefully, and you're going to cut off just the top edge of the tissue. That's going to take off the creases on the side. That way we have several layers in here. Then we're going to cut back toward the side that has a solid edge. And you can put these as close as you want depending on how many petals you want to have on your flower. You just keep cutting down the whole length of the tissue. So you just keep cutting and stop before you get the other side. It looks like we're going to have a pretty full flower with this one. Clover flowers vary a lot, but they're all pretty much the same shape. Sometimes they're pink, and sometimes they have a yellow hue and other colors sometimes. So you can make yours. I'm going to use red here in a minute, but you could also use pink and other colors. Now that we have this, I'm going to turn it around so that all the petals are faced away from me. I'm going to take my stem, and I'm going to actually roll this paper around the stem. Before I do that, I'm going to make a line of glue right here against the bottom edge of the tissue. I'm going to go all the way down so that when I glue it, it'll go all the way across. Then I'm going to put a little bit of glue right here on the end just so I get a good base to start with. I'm going to set this down like so, and then I'm going to bend this over and roll it. I'm going to roll the stem, and I'm going to make sure I have a good start like that. Now I'm going to turn it, and I'm just going to roll the stem. As I roll, I want to make sure this stays straight in line. Make sure that your inside edge, try to go as straight as you can. And you just keep rolling and rolling, and you'll roll all the way up to the other end. And if you need to, if it doesn't stick, you can add a little more glue there. But it doesn't take a lot of glue to make it stick. Just a little bit of glue goes a long ways. And as you go up, you just keep going till you get all the way up to the top. Once you get to the top, if you look at the top, it's already starting to open. But we want to open it a little bit more. So just push out and it'll open up like that. Then we want to add a little color to add a little spice to our project. So we take the felt tip marker, we open it, and all we want to do is just kind of streak through it so it makes little stripes and marks on it, and it adds a lot of color and makes it look like a real clover flower. If you've ever seen the clovers out in the field, they'll be really pretty, and it makes they really smell good, and you probably have had honey that was made from clovers, and it tastes real tasty. Now that you have your flower, if you want, you can put a little bend in it so it tips over. And then, if you look, you can put these, you make a bunch of them and put them in a vase and have quite a neat arrangement for St. Patrick's Day. So we have the clover and we have the flower, and it's fun to make several of them. The more you make, the more exciting your end product will be. And you can make them in different sizes, little ones, big ones, even little tiny ones. And you can make flowers with different colors. Here's a yellow flower. And if you're interested, you can also learn more about it. And I also have the directions online on my blog. And this is the card, shows you where the blog is. It's called detectivegluck.com. And I have a lot of blogs on there about origami, as well as science, and also fishing, if you're interested in those topics. But once you make these all up, you can have quite an arrangement. If you go to the blog, I have 2 blogs on 4-leaf clovers. One is from the science aspect, and it tells you all about the science behind the mutation that causes the 4-leaf clover. The other just shows you the steps that I've showed you today if you need to see them in slow motion. If you want to make them or get lost, you can look at the directions there, and it's step by step. So I hope that you've enjoyed learning about how to make a 4-leaf clover, and there's lots of other fun origami on my blog if you're interested. Sorry I couldn't teach it to you in person, but this is the best alternative. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it. Bye.